My name is Slash Gallagher.
It is a time of revolution.
Come and join me in my cause. The California Corporation took Los Angeles away from us. Now I'm here to take it back.
It is a time to choose sides.
This had better work.
Relax. I'm a genius.
A rookie sent to stop him.
How do you like your first day on the job, Dakota?
Asking for a war, Mr. President. All Slash Gallagher wants is power.
Isn't that what this council exists for, power?
We built the Biodome. We feed the people. We control the crime.
I send you out to stop him, and you say he's invincible, sir.
I saw Gallagher walk through flame and gunfire like it was nothing. He killed half my men.
A few must die for the greater good. That is the way of revolution.
But revolutions are not fueled by ideals alone.
Open the vault.
A direct assault? Sir, there's hostages in there.
We get Gallagher any way we can.
Haven't you learned by now that every time we play this game, you lose? Better luck next time, buddy.
But next time, he'll need more than luck. He will need time and the technology to transform himself into what the enemy has become. Hologram Man.
Welcome to They Call Us a Movie, testing the strength of friendships one terrible movie at a time. Subscribe to the podcast on iTunes and other podcast services by searching They Called Us a Movie. We are part of the Main Damie Network, and to find more from us, check out the website at themaindamie.com or on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at The Main Damie. We're also now a proud member of Geek Vibes Nation. You can find them at gvnation.com. Welcome back to They Call Us a Movie. This is Anthony Delvecchio, and with me as always is Dan Aquino and Mark Myers. Say hello, gentlemen.
Hey, everyone.
Okay, guys, now hear me out. I think this movie was ahead of its time, because I think every movie should start with a 2-minute trailer of the movie you're about to see.
I was so confused when I started watching this.
That's where movies should go.
Yes.
I thought I clicked on the trailer. I was like, oh, it's going to ruin the movie for me now.
I did the same thing. I was like, wait, I didn't see a trailer option.
I do think that would be so badass if movies did that from now on, though. That'd be so cool. Action, like the next Mission Impossible starts with just like a banger of a trailer. You know,
Mission
Tom
Impossible.
Dead.
Mission Impossible 9 coming right now.
You just see like Tom Cruise just jump from space, and that's the trailer. He falls into Mission Impossible 9. That's the whole trailer. It explodes. Mission Impossible 9. Yeah. But Mark, I agree.
Yes, we're all in agreement this time. Before we get into it, this week's movie, which was my choice, what have you guys been watching to keeping yourself occupied during this unprecedented times?
I'm glad you asked, because I watched 2 top-notch movies, and one of them is actually I enjoyed. The other I can't believe. It should be on this podcast. The first one was True Lies with Arnold Schwarzenegger. Oh, yeah. One of my top 5 Arnold Schwarzenegger movies. And the second movie I watched was Resident Evil Revelations. And that is not one of my top 5 Resident. I don't know if anyone has a top 5 Resident Evil. Right?
I don't know. I bet you there's somebody. There's somebody that's a Resident Evil stan.
Oh, those movies are so bad.
Yeah. Now,
So
which one was this in the?
Oh, I don't know. It was jeez, I don't even know how to describe it. It's so terrible.
I only know 1 and 2 in terms of what I can tell you happens, and know, like, 1 is when the underground hive, lab, the first one, where, and then the second one has Nemesis.
Who knows?
You know.
Yeah, they all have the hives. This is just really. This one was in 3D.
Oh,
so
it's more recent.
Yeah. This was when everyone was trying to get into the 3D shtick.
Got it.
So guys are throwing the gun, Claire, catch this, and the gun comes at you in slow mo, and you just die a little inside. And that's it for me. I ended on a very positive note there.
All right. What about you, Mark?
Not much outside of, the documentary series I've been watching, Last Dance. Like I said, the more and more I watch it, the more I think I get sort of respect for Jordan, because he's being the asshole that we all know he is in this, and especially when he rolled his eyes at Isaiah Thomas multiple times in this thing. But the one downside is or maybe it's not really a downside. I hope that one day I get famous enough that I can make a 10-part documentary series where I just shit on all the people I don't like. Because that's essentially what Jordan's doing in this. I don't like the general manager. We'll shit on him for an episode. I didn't really like what Scotty did. We'll shit on him for half an episode. I don't like Isaiah Thomas. We'll do it for 2 episodes on Isaiah.
You could do that now if you want.
Yeah, that's what YouTube's for, man.
It's just sit there and just shit on people. But when I found out, I think it was yesterday, I found out that his production company is sort of involved with it, Jordan's. I was like, oh yeah, so we're not going to find out the nitty gritty shitty stuff.
Right.
But anyway, so I've been watching that. It's just fascinating. To see the things that now I know that he's backing it, the things that still get through, where I'm like, Michael, you might have had editorial control over this. You might not want to have it out there that you punch the teammate in the face. But then again, everybody would want to punch Will Perdue in the face. Have you seen that man's face?
Yeah.
But yeah, so I watched that, and then just miscellaneous YouTube stuff in the background, video game wise, while I'm doing other stuff. Watching D&D stuff. I mainly watch that stuff just so I can stay inspired and stuff for Stranger Damies. Sure. See if I can pick up something here and there to sort of sprinkle in. And that's mainly my thing. You guys go to movies. I go and just watch random D&D things, just to see what other people are doing. And those tend to be the length of movies sometimes.
Sure.
You ask me every week, what do you watch? I'm like, I don't really watch anything traditional movie-wise. I did watch an inning of Korean baseball before I had to go to sleep on ESPN.
You're itching that much, huh?
I just want to see. Let me see what this is. And with no fans there, it's it's not worth it to get up at 4:30 in the morning.
You got up at 4. You were such an asshole.
No.
Whoa.
No.
There's no reason to get up that early.
Whoa.
You stayed up till 4:30 in the morning.
No, the first night, the opening day was 1 a.m. I think was the game. But every game from here on out is going to be 4 or 5:30 in the morning.
No, don't do it, dude.
I'm not
Please
doing
don't.
it.
All right.
But last night I was like, oh, it's 1 a.m. I can say, and I watched an inning and was like, this isn't worth staying up any longer for.
Yeah.
Oh,
but,
boy. Yeah, oh, man,
it's
Mark.
one of those curiosity things.
I don't miss sports that much.
Well, anyway.
That's my boring life that I've been watching. So.
Okay. I really haven't been watching that much of any interest. Been trying to stay occupied other than watching stuff, but I have been starting to. I kind of watched one and then I started just watching the others, and I now find myself in a Marvel kind of binge. So I watched Iron Man, and then I was like, well, Thor's right here on Amazon Prime. Might as well watch that. And I finished that, and I was like, well, it's suggesting Captain America: The First Avenger, so. I got nothing to do for an hour and 40 minutes, so might as well watch that. And, luckily Hulk is nowhere to be found. But
interesting. I guess because it's not it wasn't.
Universal owns it.
Yeah.
Owns the releasing rights to that. But yeah, so that's what I've been watching. Besides, again, still keeping up with the Friday the 13th series. This week was number 5, so this coming week is number 6. And I guess that wraps up kind of what we've watched this week, except for the movie that we watched for this particular episode. It was my week to pick a movie, and I spent way too much time trying to figure out which movie we're going to do this week, but I found one eventually. I originally wanted to do Lawnmower Man, but I found out that movie's 2.5 hours long, so that was like, nope. So I decided on a movie with a similar titled Hologram Man from 1995. I've never heard of this movie before, but I watched the trailer and I was like, all right, that's the one movie we're doing.
It makes sense now why we had to watch this movie.
Yes. And this movie was amazing.
Yep. The 90s.
Yeah. Guys, where are you coming from with Hologram Man?
Well, I immediately thought of Lawnmower Man. As soon as I heard Hologram Man, I was like, did he mean Lawnmower Man? And I was kind of excited to see that because I'd never seen it. But this movie kicks all types of ass. I love it. This is right up our alley. It's just the right amount of bad where, you have to review it, but it's not a slog and you don't hate yourself after you watch it.
Nope.
There's questionable hair choices in this movie.
Several, yes.
Questionable names, but some awesome names as well. So this is like a grab bag of just like awesome, terrible. So there's a lot of peaks and valleys. I was very happy with it.
Yeah, no, it was as good as I was hoping. When you watch the trailer and then you look up the Letterboxd reviews and you see that the villain's name is /Gallagher, you're in for something good.
Oh yeah.
For anybody that as most people will probably never heard of this movie, Hologram Man from 1995 was directed by Richard Pepin. Has directed a handful of movies, nothing that you would have ever heard of, but one of his most important things was he was the co-founder of PM Entertainment Group. It was a production company that produced hundreds of direct-to-video action movies from the early 90s, including a movie that we covered once before, The Killing Zone, starring Darren McBee, a.k.a. Malibu from American Gladiators, which is another favorite of ours here on the show. This stars Joe Lara as Dakota, our hero. Evan Lurie, who is the villain of the movie /Gallagher, also co-wrote it. We also get Michael Nouri, John Amos, William Sanderson, Arabella Holzberg, Annalisa Scott, Tommy Tiny Lister Jr., Nicholas Worth. And it has an IMDb score of 4.1 and a Rotten Tomatoes score, no critics, but a 30% audience score. And obviously no box office because it went straight to video.
This movie, immediately when you sent me the poster, I was like, okay, this is either going to be really good in that bad, terrible 90s action movie way, or it's just going to be boring with a lot of like bad CGI attempts and terrible like stilted dialogue. And I felt like it thread the needle pretty well in that it did have the terrible visuals and stuff, but there was enough there that was like, yeah, if I saw this on TV on like basic cable, I would leave it on for at least 20, 30 minutes, but, it was exactly when I think of people ripping off Demolition Man and trying to put a twist on it. This is the exact type of movie that I think of.
Yeah. It completely rips off Demolition Man, which is kind of ironic, seeing as how Sylvester Stallone just came out on social media a couple days ago and mentioned that they are ramping up to try and do a sequel to Demolition Man. We picked this movie well before that, a couple days before that. So once again, we are responsible for something that's coming out. You're welcome, America.
He-Man, right?
Yeah. Masters of the Universe was another one. I think there's a couple other ones there too.
Yeah, we willed a lot of things into existence. And the funny other connection from Demolition Man is that I think one of the females leads in this, either the partner or the girlfriend, was like just a nondescript officer. Like she's in the credits for Demolition Man.
Okay.
Which is when I was looking through the IMDb just to see, I was like, oh, are these two women like sort of like those 90s action that they're in all these direct-to-video movies, because they looked like they would fit the part of that. And then I saw one was just listed as Officer in Demolition Man.
Gotcha.
So. We're coming up on being the Simpsons of podcasts, where we just predict movies that are going to be coming out in the future.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, I mean, if for nothing else, you should just tune in just to see what we predict. And you can go back to later episodes like, holy shit, they said that this was going to happen. And it happened.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, this not only Demolition Man, but like Virtuosity and probably the Lawnmower Man too. Other movies. This movie lifts from everything. They even name drop Demolition Man in this movie.
Yeah, play Demolition Man.
They also it's so fun. I love that Tiny Lister, who this is the third time on the podcast we're covering a Tiny Lister movie. In the credits he's listed as Tiny Zeus Lister Jr.
Yeah.
As if like as Tiny Zeus Lister Sr. exists.
Yeah. And I love that he still kept Zeus in his title.
Yeah. This is well after
yeah, it's like 7 years.
No Holds Barred. Yeah.
I also like our villain in this movie has a combination. I don't think I've ever seen this in a movie where he has a combination of awesome name and really boring name. Slash, awesome, and then Gallagher. That's such a terrible last name. Why would you keep the Gallagher?
I don't know. I think Slash Gallagher sounds good. Like Gallagher's kind of, it's generic enough, but like together Slash Gallagher sounds like pretty villainy.
To me, it's immediately I think of the comedian Gallagher.
Sure.
So I don't equate Slash Gallagher together. You know what I mean? Like Slash is a badass guitarist who heavy metal, and then Gallagher, this mustachioed comedian who his whole thing was hitting watermelons. So to me, it just sounds like a weird. Well, he also has a weird first name, right? Norman Gallagher. So I wonder if that's his whole shtick is just it's a real nerdy name.
Yeah.
Norman Gallagher, and he took away Norman to keep Slash, but kept the Gallagher.
I think you're completely right in your thought process, Dan, that by keeping the Gallagher, it keeps the villainous thought in your head as with Gallagher the comedian. Now,
because I mean, he was still relevant in the early 90s, wasn't he?
Are we talking Gallagher 1 or Gallagher 2?
Gallagher 2, definitely.
Explain, what is this? Gallagher 1, Gallagher 2.
Oh, you don't know Gallagher 2. So Gallagher 2 was Gallagher's brother, and he basically sold him the entire concept of Gallagher, the act, to him, and he went on the road, did comedy shows as Gallagher 2.
I did not know that.
Yep. He gave him the okay to go around as Gallagher 2.
So it was almost like a tribute act?
It was just like, oh, well, we missed out on Gallagher, so I guess Gallagher 2 is going to do basically the same stand-up, but, he's just going to hit watermelons, too.
Oh, man, that's...
Yeah, so somebody's got to get out.
Sad.
Somebody's got to get out to Topeka, Kansas, do the Gallagher act.
Yeah. It's like the lamest version of nepotism ever, right?
Yeah.
Right. What a strange person to carry on their legacy.
Yeah. It's sort of like, well, I can't stop you from doing the same exact act, but just call yourself something slightly different.
Or that's the meme where, can I copy your homework? Yeah, but just change it around a little bit so it doesn't look like we cheated. Just 2 on it.
Gallagher 2. Yeah. So the villain in this, the guy who plays Slash Gallagher, is also the writer, which is interesting. Evan Lurie was also in Double Impact. Yeah. He was one of the bouncers in The Club, the Jean-Claude Van Damme movie that we covered a couple weeks ago. He also did some stunt choreography for that movie as well. So he was like a legit guy, I guess. But one of the trivia things in the on IMDb is Evan Lurie was on so much anabolic steroids that he was prone to roid rage on set. Some shots have been left in the original cut due to budget constraints. So you got a guy that is just roid raging all over the place during this production.
But now I wish we had looked this up earlier so we could have played the game. Where is he roid raging? Because there's a few scenes that do come to mind, but now you don't know. It could be the character, or it could be Evan Lurie just going completely psycho on his co-stars.
Yeah. This is a fun one. This is just as fun as The Killing Zone. And Time, all the ones that we've kind of gravitated towards. I think Mission of Justice, the one that just Dan and I covered. Yeah. That one was fun. Yeah, this is go ahead.
It was just shootout after shootout.
Yeah.
Which was amazing.
Lots of explosions everywhere. Everything was set to explode, even cars for no reason.
My favorite part is they had at least, I think it's 4 or 5 shootouts, right?
Yeah.
And then there's a moment in the movie where Dakota says before the simulation, well, I got to learn how to be accurate because bullets are expensive nowadays.
Right.
They have this like experimental bullet that they show twice, and really, other than the very first scene of this movie, doesn't come into play for the rest of the movie.
Yeah, it's like a
laser bullet. Yeah,
a laser bullet.
It's awesome in the beginning when John Amos is blowing shit up, but later in the movie they do it again and it's completely useless. So they just kind of drop it after that.
I love how many people get thrown from explosions in this movie.
Yeah.
Everybody's just on wires in this movie, just ready.
And super far away from the actual explosion.
Yeah.
They're like 100 yards away from the explosion. Look, oh my God.
Yeah. And I like how his partner tried to land on the car hood when she got blown away.
Yeah. Her only purpose in this movie is to die.
Yeah. Not again.
It begins.
Now, I don't get into it in the plot. It's only the beginning. But I want to ask you guys, I was trying to think of a timeline question here. Him and John Amos at the beginning, Dakota. Is that all one day that they're together?
It could be 2 days. But no, it's one day.
He's a rookie.
He's a rookie. They arrest the guy who says that Slash is going to has a hit on the governor basically that day.
Okay. Yeah, because my only thing is I think at some point they say in the movie, like, oh, it must have hurt you badly, your partner dying. And it was like, didn't they just know each other for like one day?
Well, it's another human being dying, I guess.
No, but I'm saying it's like if they made a comparison to the other person that's been his partner for like 6 years.
Right.
Sure.
And it's like,
So I understand your original question. Yeah. You're asking if that's the first day he was paired with John Amos. I'm not sure about that.
I think
maybe he was a mentor or something. I don't know. But it was just funny that I was like, I think they were only together one day, and they're like comparing the death of this years-long partner to this guy that he was in one shootout with.
Yeah.
When you're in a shootout with someone, when the shit hits the fan, you get to know someone pretty quickly, I think.
Exactly.
From our
have
experience
a special
of being
bond.
in the shit.
This movie makes 2 glaring errors, and it's both underutilizing characters. One is John Amos.
Yep.
He's the best actor in the movie.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And he's in it for all of 5 minutes.
Yeah.
But he was from Die Hard 2. He's the general, and misusing Tiny Lister as the henchman who really only has one line. And he's top billed in this movie.
Yeah, he is.
He's like the second name on the box. And he only has one line.
Yeah.
That's why when John Amos first popped up, I was like, is that No, that's not Tiny Lister. Then why was John Amos listed so far behind? Like when they were first zooming in on the 2 of them before, you see John Amos's face. Yeah. I was like, is there going to be a good guy?
That'd be weird. But John Amos has like an end credit, so he comes at the end. But I don't know if this poster could have came out several years later, so Tiny Lister became who might have been after Friday, so they kind of just swapped them around. They do that all the time where like people make it big and they like swap around names at like movies that never got released.
Well, it sucks because there is a henchman, like Slash Gallagher has a henchman who his only defining characteristic is he has an eye patch.
Mm-hmm.
He's like a pirate, I guess, or a tech pirate, I don't know. But they have him and he sucks as a henchman, as like the right-hand man. You have like a 7-foot tall Tiny Lister looking all badass with tattoos on him, and you don't give him the right-hand man duties, and that's a huge waste.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, yeah.
You guys want to get into the plot? Seems like we're already heading in that direction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Dan, you want to plug?
Of course, as I've been doing for the past few weeks, I wanted to give a shout out to our friend Tia, who is on Geek Vibes Nation, very good friend of the podcast, and she has her own podcast, and it is called The Top 10 with Tia. It's a weekly podcast where Tia and her crew tackle a number of entertaining topics, like the top 10 movies of the year or the top 10 worst on-screen couples. This podcast has it all, so don't miss out.
All right. Yeah, so we're going to take a step back and listen to some more messages from friends of the podcast. So we will be right back.
Hey everyone, this is Steve.
And this is Adam.
And we're part of the Hop Nation USA podcast,
Pittsburgh's #3 craft beer podcast.
Join us every Friday for new beer reviews.
We'll talk about the news, history, and homebrewing.
Plus, we'll sit down with the best brewers and industry personalities that'll have us.
So whether you're a casual drinker, a hazy boy hophead,
or even if you're a whale hunting cellar hoarder,
just search Hop Nation USA on Apple, Spotify, or your favorite podcatcher and join the nation.
Oh, hi. Didn't see you there. It's me, George, from the best little horror house in Philly, the show where we talk about the best horror movie ever made, according to our guest at least. We've talked about groundbreaking classics like Texas Chainsaw Massacre and Alien, but we've also got a lot of great ones coming up, including some very fun guests like Len Kabaczynski of Swamp Zombies and Red Letter Media fame, Caroline Williams, the star of Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, and Chase Williamson from John Dies at the End. So make sure you're subscribed to the best little horror house in Philly, and I'll see you boils and ghouls over there.
And welcome back, and it's time to get into the plot for Hologram Man. First of all, we start with the Amazon Prime movie version of this, giving us a 3-minute trailer, as we mentioned earlier, which was nice to have a little recap of what we were about to see before we saw it. And then we have 2.5 minutes of credits against Black. So start this movie up, go make yourself a sandwich, and come back, and you won't miss a damn thing.
Well, I wonder if the movie is giving you that chance to turn back. Like, all right, we showed you the trailer. You in or you out? You have 2 minutes to decide.
What's the official runtime of this movie? An hour and 41 minutes. So it's not like they were like struggling to get to an hour and a half or an hour and 20 to make it an official feature length. So I don't know, but I guess they just probably didn't have enough money to put anything over, put the credits over anything. They ran out of their stock footage budget.
Why not just keep it at 136, 135 runtime? What's the difference? Right.
Yeah. I don't know. So we fade in, having missed some great action apparently, as cars are overturned and things are on fire and guys are shooting at everybody. There's a firefight between some thugs with enormous guns and the police. We meet our hero, Dakota, who's a ponytailed rookie cop who only says shit, and then his partner is John Amos. Dakota kind of looking like a slightly buffer Jared Leto.
Yes.
Well,
God, it was bothering me. I knew there was a comparison.
This is bad hair number 1 for the movie, by the way.
I mean, like, he's probably got, like, it's out of style at this point in the 2020s, but it's kind of like, if you probably take it out of the ponytail, he's probably got some luxurious locks.
Well, we do see those luxurious locks.
It's enviable hair, like got nice body and bounce to it.
It's got volume.
Yeah, nice volume to it. So, I mean, but yeah, it's still a ponytail, and ponytails should be criticized whenever possible.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. As well as the other hairstyle, more so.
Oh, absolutely. For being problematic.
Right, in all, and across all decades, it's problematic.
Yes. Yeah. And we get John Amos, as Dan mentioned, Die Hard 2, as well as Good Times, obviously. He goes against regulations in order to use laser bullets because all cops are bastards.
ACAB.
And just starts blowing shit up. And then a car seemingly out of Mad Max comes in and runs into other cars, and those other cars just blow up for no reason. And then John Amos blows that car up with laser rounds. They pull the driver out of the wreck, and the driver says Slash is going to attack the governor that day. Amos gives no fucks. He's ready to let that guy die, but Dakota is the rookie cop that is doing things by the book, so he saves the guy's life. And then we get the quickest and most out-of-context sex scene in the history of cinema.
Yeah.
Which
I
is
didn't
how
know
we're
what I was
introduced.
watching.
Which is how we're introduced to our villain / Gallagher, but we do not see his face. The sex scene literally takes all of about 2.5 seconds.
It looks like it's boring sex too.
So I did some investigation with incognito mode, and there does exist a longer version of said sex scene if you know where to find it.
Well, why did we waste that on 2 minutes of black and 3 minutes of a trailer?
I don't know. Maybe it's. I don't know.
That longer scene exists in the writer's personal library.
Yeah, I don't know why there's a slightly edited version on Amazon Prime. But I don't know what version that other part exists. But it does.
I love on IMDb it says it has like sex and it says moderate, and then the listing is there's a sex scene, breasts are shown quickly, but that's about it. Yeah.
It's hardly enough to count it as sex, to be honest.
Yeah.
But you did have a good reason. See, after sometimes to peel the layers back of this podcast, while we watch it, sometimes we'll text each other and, we'll kind of workshop some jokes, blah, blah, blah. So I messaged the group saying that was the most pointless sex scene in the history of film. Mm-hmm. And Anthony responded, well, he did write the movie, so I think he just wanted to show everyone that his character fucks.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But yeah, there is a sex scene that's a little bit longer that makes more sense, but still. After our dreadlocked villain Slash gets a call from a guy with an eye patch, and then he tells him that they're ready, basically. So he gets off the phone and he says, "My public awaits," and he leaves. So John, Amos, and Dakota meet the governor at the airport, and they're going to be his security detail because they found out that Slash is going to do something. They give him a police escort as they ride with him in the limo. And meanwhile, Slash has apprehended a city bus, which honestly you would think he would have procured a vehicle prior to all this, but he obviously hasn't because there are still passengers on the bus.
That might be my favorite part of this scene.
Yeah.
Oh, actually, I forgot about that. It just cuts right to him stealing the bus.
Yeah,
right
he's already got the bus.
Right. He's driving already. There's no lead into him stealing it. He doesn't kill anyone that we see.
Nope.
For all we know, he just kind of was walking by and there was a bus just hanging out.
Yeah. I wonder if that was always the plan. It's like, I'll just wait at the bus for it'll be there in 10 minute maximum. Jump on, kill the driver, because he does kill the driver. We do see the body. And then I'll just hope that bus isn't late, I guess.
Right.
So the motorcade, while it's going, gets stopped by a homeless man walking in the middle of the street. But surprise, it's actually the guy with the eye patch who pulls a gun out. And Slash runs over police cruisers with the bus, and then some goons of his drive into some cars with a big rig truck. The whole blocking of the scene confused the shit out of me because the eye patch guy pulls a gun on the limo, and then the bus immediately drives into his shot. Like he's about to shoot the limo driver, but then the bus just comes in and hits the cars. So I was confused.
Yeah, it's probably a bad plan. A man named Slash Gallagher.
Sure. Yeah, I guess he's not exactly a mastermind. But so after they kill the driver of the limo, Dakota jumps into the driver's seat of the limo and tries to make an escape while Slash is on his tail with the bus. They go over an underpass that takes off the top of the bus, so now it's like a convertible bus. And then somehow and for some reason, Dakota decides to drive on the wrong side of the highway, which is incredibly dangerous for a by-the-books cop. And then while he's driving, Dakota also manages to shoot Slash's girlfriend, which I think is the same woman from the sex scene. We have no idea. Okay. And police roadblock gets set up. Slash bumps the limo and it explodes and flips for some reason. Then the bus also crashes and comes to a stop. And then Slash has his no moment, then kills a bunch of cops. When he goes to check on his dead girlfriend. He screams, "No!" So he has a little emotional scene there. Dakota pulls John Amos out of the limo and Slash takes the governor as a hostage. Then Slash shoots Amos and then he kills the governor. And Slash then decides to play Russian roulette with Amos and Dakota, but then immediately decides that he doesn't want to, and then but he then tells them that they have to.
Yeah, that might have been one of the roid raging scenes.
Yeah.
I don't want to play this game anymore. Okay.
You're gonna play.
You wanted to play at first. It's like a child. I don't want to play Russian roulette. oh, are you sure? No, I don't want to play. Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
Before he backed out of it, I was like, oh, hell yeah, that's a great strategy as a villain that just showed it you're fucking nuts.
Right.
Like, yeah, I got 3 bullets. We're going to play a game. Me first.
He's willing to die. Like, I don't give a shit, man. I have dreadlocks for hair.
Oh, yeah, we should have, at this point, mention that his dreadlocks are shit.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You know how long this takes?
It's got to be his real hair, right?
I'd hope so.
Yeah.
Like, because that's a weird choice to decide on.
I would put more of a vote on Dakota having a wig than Slash's being a wig.
Yeah. So while they're playing Russian roulette, John Amos goes for Slash, and he gets shot. Then Dakota manages to fight Slash and wrestles the gun away. And the cops show up and take Slash under arrest while John Amos dies. Then Slash gets sentenced for a number of crimes, including the murder of the governor, and he gets sentenced to Hologram prison. And then we have kind of a flash forward 5 years later into the future. LA is in a biodome now because all the pollution. Voting is outlawed. Citywide curfews are enacted. And meanwhile, Slash is up for reevaluation. And Dakota plans to go to the reevaluation hearing.
This is one of the ways. I'm sorry to interrupt. This is
ahead.
one of the instances where they rip directly from Demolition Man when they have the parole hearing and the computer says, oh, this subject 6647 whatever has been taught to, like knit or whatever. That's ripped directly from Demolition Man, right? They're reprogrammed for some like menial task that's to help them, I guess, just not be a criminal anymore. I don't know, but yeah, one of them is reprogrammed to knit, I think.
Yeah, I hope that the actor that is the first prisoner they evaluate was like a student actor, because that had like college student actor written all over it.
Coming from a college student actor.
Yes, coming from an actual actor.
Takes one to know one, right?
Who was once in Gone with the Wind. Yeah.
I'm cutting that reference out. So Cal Corp prison. It is a prison that is run by the Cal Corporation, who basically runs everything in LA now. Dakota's girlfriend is tech at Cal Corp prison, as is her dad. And then we see another prisoner get paroled, and it sort of just kind of shows us the way the process is supposed to go. And then one of the other techs at the prison, we find out, is working with Slash's goons back at his hideout, and his plan is to hack the security matrix, which he is able to do. When Tiny Lister shows up, and he says his one line, and then that's about it. Dakota drives to Slash Gallagher's hearing and calls his partner on his car phone. His stupid car as he's driving. And we meet his partner just so she can be a casualty later. And then he gets a call from some officers in need of assistance at the boating yard. So he hightails it over to the boating yard. The boating yard is a firefight, and Dakota shows up and just blows a bunch of people away. We get a lot of explosions, a lot of people getting thrown around by said explosions. And this scene really is just to highlight the difference in Dakota over the last 5 years. He's a jaded veteran cop now, not doing things by the book. As they're about to wrap everything up, one of the terrorists takes a hostage and makes a Malibu Stacy reference, meaning even in this universe, the Simpsons are still on the air.
And finally, we don't have to struggle to get a Simpsons reference into the podcast. The movie does it for us.
Yeah, he says, nobody move or Malibu Stacy here gets it. So that's great. We know What year do you think this movie? What year is this taking place? Is it 2015? You think?
I don't know, but I'm wondering if that episode with Lisa versus Malibu Stacy had come out at that point. Maybe what's his name had seen the episode. Evan Laurie had seen. He's like, oh, I got to write that in there.
Yeah,
it's a great episode.
You looked up the episode came out in 1994, so it's very possible.
Maybe it was a rerun, and he happened to watch it.
Dakota somehow knows the hostage is actually a terrorist, and he shoots her in order to foil the hostage situation. He knows by the fact that she has a tattoo on her chest, but there is no way of him knowing that based on the situation. So that is a lucky thing that he was right on. Then we have a scene at Cal Corp prison. Manny, the other tech, shows up late and gives some lip to his boss. Dakota shows up and talks to his partner. And Slash shows up in hologram form wearing the same jumpsuit Arnold wore in The Running Man. And his computer evaluation basically says that he hasn't been reformed, and the council decides to put him back into containment. But the system fails due to a quote-unquote power surge, and Slash is able to have some sense of autonomy and power, and he gets electrical powers and knocks Dakota's partner on her ass as she tries to subdue him. Then knocks out a few other cops, and Dakota and Carradine shoot up the place, but they all go through Slash.
Can I just say one thing at this point in the movie? What is the point of having a hologram prison?
I don't know.
There is really no pros to it, is there? Because the person is still, his physical body is still there. He's in a prison, essentially. So having him in hologram form is just probably using up a ton of data, first of all, at this point. And it really serves no purpose, right?
I wonder if they're serving time in a cyberspace sort of world as their bodies are in stasis, so that they're not really a threat to escape, I guess, because they're just code.
Yeah,
but they're just not asleep, so they're actually having to spend their time basically.
Well, how could their consciousness be awake, I guess, right? You're just code at that point. You're not aware of your surroundings. You can't be.
I mean, I guess it is science fiction, so it's like, I uploaded your consciousness to this computer, that's basically it. So they did it because they said they were able to do it because they said that they were able to do it.
So what's that Bruce Willis movie when everyone is kind of like plugged into the computer and they're living their lives? It's almost like The Matrix.
Yeah,
right?
It's like The Matrix, or was it Replicants? Was that it?
That sounds about right.
Yeah.
But I think The Matrix would be a better what's the word I'm looking for?
Comparison.
Yes, thank you. Reference, comparison, definitely. But it just seems weird because there's really no reason to do it other than, I guess, it sounds cool.
Yeah, that's basically what it is. It sounds cool.
And plus, we can't put anyone on ice because, again, that already happened in Demolition Man.
I think you also have to give a reference to the time and place this movie was made in 1995, where it was like cyberspace was all the rage. It was like, oh, what could we do with that? And it was kind of a new technology that people really didn't understand, let alone people in Hollywood. So they're all just like, oh, well, what if, the net came out not long or just around
the
there.
Net.
And, hackers.
The World Wide Web.
What about The Net starring Sandra Bullock? You idiot.
Oh, okay.
No, I got the reference.
No, you didn't. Don't lie. Don't hang me out to dry there, Mark.
Where she orders a pizza for like $35 over the net, something like that. Yeah. So I think that's sort of what it is. It's just like people kind of spitballing. It's like, oh, what could you do? It's like, oh, prison all on cyberspace. And then that's how Hologram Man is created. Sound like you had something you wanted to say, Mark.
Yeah, I was going to say, or the whole cyber thing, which they didn't explain well, putting them in cyberspace and all that, probably more had to do with the rehabilitation part of it, but they just don't go into it. Mm-hmm. Like putting them in there is like reprogramming their mind, sort of thing. But they kind of lightly touch on that, but don't really, and it just leaves this whole thing where we can speculate and go, oh, it's just because it sounds cool, and maybe that's as deep as he went with it, but I'm assuming that might have been like an original thought in there. Was like, no, they put them in there and they sort of like reprogram them, in a cyberspace sense. But that's why that guy comes out and goes, I love our city. I will serve whatever the city needs,
Sure. So they shoot up the place and all the bullets go through Slash, and then Slash escapes through a wall. Afterwards, Dakota gets called into a city council meeting where the city is now run by Cal Corp. The council basically has like 4 members, including the president of Cal Corp, the chief of police, and the secretary of something, economy or something like that. Secretary is not exactly on the side of the Cal Corp's police state that they've created, but the city council knows that Manny the tech was the inside man of the escape. They tell Dakota to find Slash, and they put the city under martial law until further notice, until he does. So they then go to Slash's hideout, and Slash shows up as his hologram form. Meanwhile, Dakota starts running simulations in VR to test his ability to shoot bad guys, which he does successfully. But Manny designs a program that'll give the hologram version of Slash a more lifelike appearance, which is basically just the Terminator 2 Bioflesh Regenerator playset brought to life. You guys remember that?
I do remember that. I had that.
You had it?
I did have that. Yeah, it was just essentially it was the plastic the skeleton, right. And then you put him in a little chamber, and he came back with the flesh on him. But it was really terrible. I think I only used it once, and I had no use for it other than that.
Yeah. All those projects like that was like one time, oh, it's pretty cool, and then you never did it again.
Yep. Yeah,
creepy crawlers. What else?
Yeah, creepy crawlers. That was exactly what I was thinking of. I did it maybe once or twice, and was like, yeah, this is too much work.
It loses its luster after the first couple of uses.
Yeah, it doesn't look as good as it does on TV.
Right.
The only thing that's pretty crazy is seeing all the people that have repurposed the Easy Bake Ovens to actually make real food.
That's
you know, it takes like a lot longer, obviously, because you're just lighting it with a light bulb or whatever is the trick to it. But it was like, how to make this in an Easy Bake Oven? And it's like 2 hours.
Essentially, the stuff that they use in this movie as quote unquote flesh is really just paint, I guess. It looks like paint.
They say it's polymer.
Yeah, there's 2 of them. Which just makes the one seem not as impressive when it's explained later in the movie. How they do the other one.
So
the science of this movie boggles my mind. I don't know how essentially a strand of code can dip into polymer and become flesh.
Well, it's negatively charged polymer.
You see?
You skipped over that very important part.
God damn it. You're right.
Now it all makes perfect sense.
I recant my entire rant. It makes sense now.
Yeah, and speaking of all the science stuff, if there was one person in this movie that I wanted to die, it was the turncoat scientist.
Oh, he's so annoying.
Like, that guy deserves to die.
Manny, you talking about?
Manny.
Played by William Sanderson from Deadwood. He had a long role in Deadwood.
Does he die in Deadwood?
I don't know. Can't remember.
He definitely deserved to die.
Yeah, like, obviously the villain, which may be different than with the movie, or maybe everyone was supposed to be a villain. I don't get this part of the movie, but obviously they should die. But this guy, I was like, I just want to see him just eat it. Like,
I also love how when they call this big meeting of like the president and the mayor and all that, none of them seem very concerned with what just happened.
Yeah.
One of them even asks, how dangerous is this Gallagher anyway? What does it matter? He just turned into a hologram and escaped. He can go anywhere. He could be anything.
Yeah.
Which is awesome. He could be anything, and he chooses to be himself still.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
When they introduce the polymer, he says, oh, I could be anything, and he sticks with his same body.
Yeah. It would be so easy to hide. No.
Right, he could have been an Asian guy. He could have been a woman, and no one would have known. But no, same terrible hair and everything.
Yeah, so there's 2 points with all this. Is one, I love how they're having this secret council meeting in an open public forum.
Yep.
And 2, they only say that line, like all these movies that aren't really greatly written, or well written, I should say. Is that they only say that to foreshadow something later. It's not that, we could have just made this a plot point in the movie that he was doing it a lot. They only did it twice. Like it was one of those like, oh yeah, he could, popping up and going around and all these different people are committing all these terrorist acts and what's going on. But no, he just, and also I would love to know how they got the hair with the polymers. But
right. You're cracking too many holes in this movie.
The truth needs to be out there. I got to do a YouTube video.
Everything wrong with hologram. So basically it is Slash goes in as a hologram and comes out looking like his old self. He's basically made of rubber and can be anybody who he wants to be at any time. So Dakota goes home and he gets ready to find Slash. He takes out John Amos's laser gun and he's going to use it. And meanwhile, Secretary Culkin is being escorted by the police. Go ahead, Mark.
I was gonna say, but by pulling out that gun, it means his girlfriend doesn't know him anymore.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Yeah.
You've gone off the deep end.
I've gone too far.
Right. That's
Maybe
the only
I
thing
have.
this movie missed, right? Turn in your badge and your gun. You're off the case.
That'd have been great.
You've gone too far, Dakota.
You have a loose cannon out there, Dakota. I got the mayor on my ass telling you doing $20 million worth of damage out there.
Yeah, that would have been great. It would have fit in perfectly.
Turn in your badge, you're getting suspended. You can't suspend me, man. I've come too far. And he solves the case when he's on suspension.
Right.
It's gonna be your ass, Captain.
I'm out there every day. You don't know what it's like. Must be fun sitting behind that big desk of yours.
World needs plenty of bartenders.
Well, what is the... damn it. I had it, and I totally forgot. The McBain reference. You're off the case, McBain, and he throws the captain out of the window.
That makes two of us.
He blows the captain away with his laser gun.
All right, so Secretary Culkin is being escorted by the police, and then Slash's goons somehow get a hold of a police helicopter and start blowing up all the cruisers. Then a gunfight ensues, and the goons manage to kidnap the secretary. And they bring him back to Slash's hideout.
I don't mean to cut in, but I want to make this point. I love how this cop that's protecting the secretary went to the Plaxico Burr's school of how to keep your gun in your pants.
Yeah. The guy's about ready to shoot his own dick off.
These cops are very unaware of what's going on because the mayor asks, "Is that ours?" And he just to the helicopter, and the cop goes, "Yeah, I think yeah." Either it is or it isn't, man.
I wonder who that guy was. You know, it's like
he's like the grip or something.
Yeah. Hey, one of the truck drivers just backed up, like delivered some shit. It was like, hey, you kind of look like a cop. Want to be a movie?
And also, this is like the worst place to be a cop in this movie. I tried to keep a count. I think I lost track after like 30. So many cops die in this movie, and it's like candy with this movie. There's like, oh, cop dead. Here's another cop dead. Back up, dead. It's like this is worse than Gotham City.
Yeah, it's L.A. after like crazy shit has happened, right?
I guess, but
It's L.A. with martial law, so much worse.
And no one ever talks about it. Like no one ever says we lost 10 good men out there. It's just like no, everyone died and they're an afterthought.
Well, nobody cares because the president, President Jameson, is just looking for more power. The chief of police is wrangling himself three ways.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Well, if you're not doing that, you're really not using your power correctly.
What's the point of being chief of police if you're not going to bang hookers two at a time?
Well, that's something we never see in movies. It's very refreshing. Most of the time, they're just snitches or whatever.
The true reason to become chief of police. Fuck hookers on the reg.
Yeah, why not?
So Slash needs the secretary, and he wants him to help him to bring about his plan. And the secretary says that he needs time to plan, so Slash locks him away somewhere. Then he tells Slash that they are broke, and so they decide to drive into a bank and demand they open the vault. The manager refuses, so they kill him, and another guy gladly opens the vault for them.
Instead of, being able to just walk through walls, as he's done previously,
true.
He goes in his polymer flesh, his negatively charged polymer flesh, for no reason. This would have been so much cooler if he just walks into the vault and like the cops are trying to stop him, and he's laughing in steroids and just wanders right into the vault.
Steroids?
Laughing in steroids, yes. That steroid laugh. I don't know what it is.
Is that like the gasping in Spanish subtitle?
Right. Yeah, it would have been so cool if he did that, right? Like he's by the vault door and just laughing hysterically, and the cops are bewildered, and he just wanders in and comes out with a couple of money bags with the money sign on it.
Well, they explain that cool moment away early when they say that they had to make the body so that he could interact with physical objects.
Right. Yeah.
But he's able to punch the female cop.
Yeah. He punches a few people. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, but
he beats the shit out of some people.
They knew that scene was coming and was like, how can we have it so he doesn't just walk into the vault and take it? Oh yeah, let's have a line where it's like he needs to skin the whole thing. People will dismiss. Will give us the benefit of the doubt there.
And somehow, just because he's in code form, he's stronger. Does that make sense to you?
I mean, sure. He is electrically charged too when he's a hologram, though. He's got those electric powers.
Yeah, and they make the explanation later that there was more time given to make him stronger.
Yeah.
Than
God spent
what
a little
happened
more
later.
time on him, right?
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, it sounded like she just brought that up so Dakota could feel bad about himself. Oh, just before you go into this life or death fight with / Gallagher, just so you know, he's like 30 times stronger than you, and you don't stand a chance. Bye.
And he may or may not have a bigger dick. Bye.
Yeah. Oh, that would have been great. Gallagher.
Like, I've seen the polymer mold that they made, and his dick is huge.
They needed an extra bucket just for his dick.
All the polymer is just out. They're running out in the city just because it's like, you gotta give me like a 13-inch penis.
He would definitely be the guy to do that. But he's just so out of control crazy, where it's just his one demand would just be, I want a huge polymer dick, positively charged.
Do you think I guess because we find out later that you could totally fuck as a hologram inside polymer, so I guess it's pleasurable for you, right?
It must be, right?
So the dick is like a dick, not just like you're pegging somebody.
Right. Yeah. It's not just for show.
It's not a strap on.
Right. It's and what it creates the red sparks and everything.
Yep.
Now that's going on down there. That wouldn't scare you as a woman?
Yeah.
Right?
I mean.
Or is it just that good?
I guess vibrators are they run on batteries.
So now.
I mean, they're not supposed to spark. I mean, you should
Right.
you should replace your vibrator if it sparks, just so you know. For the
PSA.
ladies out there, this is our second time we're bringing women's health into this conversation. But women, if your vibrator is sparking, you need to replace it.
So now, can we convert the strength level from when you're in hologram form to your fucking level? Like, do you become just like a stallion now that you're a hologram, or can you break someone's pelvis now?
I would think, right?
Right?
What's the point of being a hologram?
Exactly.
Do you enter Superman levels of just like, you really need to pull back a little bit on the thrusting?
I would think that your cum is also like electrically charged, so it's probably going to kill any egg though too. So you can't get anyone pregnant.
Now, that's a great question. Do you have bodily fluids at this point?
Right? Yeah, I don't know.
You shouldn't.
Are they also holograms? Is your sperm holograms?
I don't think so. Or do you just shoot ones and zeros?
Just code, lines of code.
Yeah, that's we ask the tough questions here, and they call this a movie. Yeah. That's why people tune in.
Well, listen, if you're gonna bring up this science, we have to bring up our own science, right?
Yeah.
If it works within the realm of the movie, anything's game.
Yeah, because there's probably hologram porn in this time, right?
Yeah.
Like holograms fucking, and like a cum shot is just like ones and zeros across her face, like the Matrix background.
Right. Yeah. Just it's all green and
green ones and zeros.
Yeah, exactly. Why not?
Yeah, from the guys that brought you Eiffel Towering with your past self or whatever from Time Cop comes. do holograms come?
And Sex in Space. Sex in Space we did at one point. Yeah. I am afraid that we might get too sidetracked with sex on these podcasts. But listen,
this one brings it up though. Come on.
That's what I'm saying as well.
This movie was just as curious about hologram fucking as we are.
Yes. So sometimes the most obvious joke needs to be said. You know what I'm saying? It needs to be brought up.
I mean, they didn't have to have they didn't have to have him fucking his girlfriend after he was a hologram. They did the stuff.
Right.
You know,
yeah.
It's not our fault.
They brought it
Society's fault.
Society's fault. And we will not apologize for that.
Nope. Okay. So after they rob the bank, Dakota gets a call from President Jameson telling him the bank is he tells him to get down to the bank. Slash is there. They're taking the money. It's Cal Corp's money. And he needs to kill Slash. So Dakota shows up, and the men in charge decide it's an all-out assault situation in order to get Slash. Hostages be damned. Then Slash addresses the people of LA and tells them that he is trying to free them of Cal Corp and their tyranny. So here I'm sort of thinking, Slash did nothing wrong.
Slash is right.
Yeah.
Hashtag Slash.
Yeah. So Slash walks out of the bank planting charges, has some words with Dakota, and then the rest of the goons come out with hostages, and one of the cops shoots a hostage square in the chest.
Well, they said that there was really no fucks given at this point.
Yeah. So then Slash sets off the charges, and the bank explodes, which is some amazing dummy work here.
Oh, yeah.
As Slash gets engulfed in the flames, and it melts his polymer body. And everyone shoots at each other, and the cops can't hit a damn thing. And Slash's outer shell melts, and he walks away as a hologram as the rest of his team gets away with the money. So there's a debriefing meeting happening with the president, and Slash, he mentions that Slash gets away with $100 million of Cal Corp's money, and the president is not happy. He tells Slash that he tells Dakota that he needs to get Slash soon. Back at Slash's hideout, the secretary begrudgingly decides to help Slash in exchange for the ability to restructure social programs for the city once Cal Corp is overthrown. So again, Slash did nothing wrong. They're basically just trying to, reform social programs. They want more welfare, more health care. It sounds great. Slash is a hero. He's Robin Hood.
I love that. I don't think we touched on this at the beginning, but I love that the post-apocalyptic thing that occurs is such a 90s thing as well. It's because the ozone layer disappeared, which is such a 90s trope that they had to build a dome to protect against the ozone layer going away.
Sure. I mean, we already dealt with that with the core too.
Right. I was just gonna say that was 2 weeks ago, I think, the core.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So one of the council members gets plans to meet with Dakota at like a warehouse, but it's actually Slash wearing a mask on top of his mask, and you think that this would be a plan to frame Dakota for killing somebody or taking a hostage, but it isn't. They take the council member hostage, and he hits a security bot like a baseball, and the cops show up. Dakota demands the city council member, the treasurer, to be released in a wheelchair. Slash rolls. So Slash says, "Sure, why not?" So he rolls the treasurer, who is in a wheelchair, towards the cops. And it's revealed that he has wired the treasurer with charges, and it blows up. And Carradine, Dakota's partner, gets the worst of it, and a firefight ensues, and Slash and his goons get away, and Carradine dies, which was the only thing that she was supposed to do in this movie. Then President Jameson drives Dakota home in his limo. Dakota wants off the case. Jameson tells him no. This is just the same back and forth that he had previously.
Yeah. It's the same conversation.
Yeah. It's just like Dakota's just like, get somebody else. He's like, no, do what I'm telling you to do. And if you don't, then you're going to be in early retirement, I think he says.
But it's kind of weird that they don't kick him off the case, because he hasn't done anything to really promote a good sense of like, yeah, he's got this under control. He's fucked up a couple times now. He's got his partner killed.
Yeah.
So maybe it would be a good idea to distance him from this a little bit.
Yeah. They kind of have a hard on for Dakota solving this case just because, you guys kind of know each other. Like, we don't, like, has he been visiting Slash as a hologram, like, these 5 years?
It could be that since every other cop is dead, they have no choice.
Yeah.
Like, listen, we only have, like, 5 guys left. I'm sorry.
Now, if Slash and Dakota were brothers, that would make more sense.
Almost like, well, I've never seen this movie, but is it almost like a face-off type of situation? Right, where they have a history together. That's why they send Travolta in to get Cage.
Yeah, I haven't seen that movie in a long time, but I'm assuming I'm pretty sure that's the long and short of it. Yeah.
So that would make more sense, right? If they had that epic like rivalry going, where he always puts him away and he always gets out, that would make more sense. But they've only known each other for a day.
Yeah.
And he killed his partner of a day. So grudge, I guess. I don't know.
At Cal Corp prison, Dakota and his girlfriend find Slash's actual body in a drawer, and then Dakota basically shoots his face off.
It's so corny. Like, it's meant to be this like awesome scene where he's like getting revenge, and it really doesn't carry the weight that they wanted.
So Slash and his goons arrive shortly after, and they start shooting up the place. They're killing a bunch of Cal Corp police. A bunch of shooting happens. Most of the time, you can't see who's shooting at who. Eventually, Slash finds his body and what Dakota did to him, and he yells out, "Dakota!"
I don't know why. He's not gonna hear you.
Yeah. The goons take Dakota, his girlfriend, and her dad hostage. Her dad is kind of like the scientist behind all this. So they go to shoot her dad, and Dakota reacts super slowly and can't save the girlfriend's dad in time. He just gets blown away by a machine gun. Dakota and Slash fight, and Slash beats the absolute shit out of Dakota.
It's a great scene. It's so good because he doesn't stand a chance, and he's just getting thrown all over the place.
Yeah. Eventually, it ends with him tossing him like 50 feet in the air, landing on a desk, and then shoots him in the chest, leaving him for dead. Slash plants some more charges at the prison and leaves Dakota and his girlfriend behind. Then
can we slightly talk how these bombs just look like kitchen timers?
Yeah,
and
they're like, yeah.
Not really bombs.
They look like Bluetooth shower speakers.
Yeah.
So Dakota's girlfriend comes to Dakota's aid as he slowly starts to die. He's telling her to get out, but she decides to put him in the hologram machine as he's dying. And Slash blows up the prison while they're still inside, but Natalie survives the explosion through blind luck. And she finds Dakota, who is now a hologram too. At Slash's hideout, goons are having a party. And Slash is very emo because he finally killed Dakota. Now I guess he's having an existential crisis without his best adversary.
Is this what would happen if Joker actually killed Batman?
That is actually what happened in one story when he thinks he killed Batman and he gets like super depressed. So this is essentially what happens, right? It's Joker killing Batman or thinking he killed Batman.
And now he has no more reason to live. He's done. At Dakota's house, he's testing his hologramness against a computer, and he's making it all staticky. But luckily, Natalie has negatively charged stage makeup that she's basically going to make his skin with, like the bad guys did with Slash. And like she just has this lying around somewhere.
My favorite part is that the scientist goes through this whole thing of how it's this genius idea he came up with, and it's this rubber material, and it just blah, blah, blah. And then she's like, oh, I just got some negative charge stage makeup. Let's do this.
Yeah, she's got like a bucket, bucket of it. And this guy's got like this whole like press. It's like he's making records on the side. Right. She's like, I'm just going to kind of slather you in this makeup.
That must have been kind of awkward, right? Like, how did they apply it? Did she just dump it on him or?
Probably rubbed it all over him. Right. Probably gave him like a 13-inch dick too.
It was like
we're going to improve some things here.
Just spent way too much time on the dick. It was like, all right, well, I think I got it.
It I don't know if you guys knew, it's a deleted scene. It was like the scene from Ghost when she was making his dick.
Yeah, just like it just two-handed. Just
at one point, it's the only thing that's really polymer is just his dick. Like, all right, we've been here for a couple hours now.
It's like, I think it's done. Like, no. I think you could use another inch at least.
Got to make it wider. We have to make it wider.
Like, what do you mean? I mean, I know I said it was a good size, but I mean, now it could be a great size. Right. We have the technology.
Slash has given us this opportunity. It'd be foolish not to take it.
So she just has this at Slash's hideout. They go to take out the police chief next using cyberspace. The police chief was just about to have himself a three-way when he gets a call, and he answers at his own home, and it's the secretary. But then Slash reaches through the computer screen and basically strangles him to death with an electric grip. So then Natalie finishes with Dakota's skin, and then he makes her feel bad for saving his life. And then they fuck, and it shorts out all the electrical equipment. So then back at the hideout, Secretary Culkin comes to Slash with a social reform plan, and Slash freaks out because he's the one that makes the plans, so he kills Culkin. What was the point of him even kidnapping him?
Yeah.
Well, I guess just to get him back.
Yeah, just to kill the police chief, I guess.
That was a Royd moment.
Yeah,
right.
Probably
that wasn't even
the guy.
In the script.
Oh my God, there's live bullets in that machine gun. Live rounds.
Yeah, I know. I mean,
I love the Twilight Zone.
It's there's a couple pointless things in this. Like, it's basically the henchmen are pointless. Right? Because you'll notice how we have not yet mentioned Tiny Lister doing anything. It's because he hasn't done anything. He's literally just stood around, and I think he threatens the one guy, the one henchman once.
Yeah.
And I think that's it.
More or less, yeah. So Slash kills Culkin. Then President Jameson calls Dakota, demands to meet. So they have a meeting, and Jameson says he has absolute power now. And Dakota talks back to him, and Jameson threatens to kill him. But then Dakota reveals that he's a hologram, and he says they're gonna do things his way, and he's gonna get Slash once and for all. So Natalie shows up to tell Dakota that Slash is more powerful than him, and Dakota knows that he's the only one that could stop Slash. So One Eye goes to Jameson's house and just walks straight through the front door, takes him hostage, and brings him to Slash at his hideout. And the cops show up, and we get more gunfights that are way too dark to discern what's going on. Jameson breaks free of his restraints and kills Manny with a live wire. And then, surprise, it's Dakota who's wearing a mask on top of his mask of Jameson. He takes One Eye and shoves him into the regenerator chamber and suffocates him with a rubber mask. And then Slash shows up and slaps him around 50 yards across the room. Mostly because Dakota calls him Norman, so he gets really upset about that. Then Dakota slaps Slash across the room, and then one of Slash's goons shows up with a flamethrower and sets Dakota on fire with some excellent dummy work once again.
They had to do it twice.
It's great. And why, if you got works and special effects that great, you do it twice. Dakota reveals himself to be a hologram and then sets the flamethrower guy on fire somehow. So Slash removes his outer shell. So he's just a hologram, and they are two holograms for one final showdown. Meanwhile, Tiny Lister goes out like a bitch.
Yeah. Oh, it's so annoying. He gets taken out by a nondescript guard.
Yep. Just a faceless guard.
And I was thinking the entire movie with that tattoo or whatever on the top of his head, I'm like, they're gonna shoot something through that.
Yeah. It's a bullseye, essentially.
Yeah, it's like it paid no usage throughout the whole movie. Like, they don't make any reference to it. It was just set up for a cool gunshot, and then they end up doing it by a non-discreet guard. I thought it was going to be Dakota shooting him, like how he did that 12-person, 12-shot thing.
Yeah.
I thought that's how they were going to do it, but
that's another scene that has no point to this movie. The whole virtual training.
Yeah.
So Slash and Dakota, they continue to fight, and then Dakota uses the computers to get more power and shoots electricity into Slash, and then shoots him into a containment tube and manages to get him back into containment. Then
I was sorry to interrupt. He says Slash is kicking Dakota's ass again, and I guess Slash has him on the ropes, and he's taunting him, and Dakota has his first of, it might not be his first, but he has one of his worst comebacks ever when he says, "You forgot something, Slash." And what's that? "I'm smarter than you." You've done nothing to prove that throughout this entire movie. First of all, get off your high horse, Dakota.
Yeah, they're two meatheads too. It's not like
right. Dakota hasn't solved any complex problems or deduced anything from what Slash is doing. He's just been, going guns blazing in every situation he's been in.
Yeah.
It's never been, I need to outsmart the bad guys here. Like, no, you dumbass. You literally just run headfirst into every situation just shooting. So you haven't earned that catchphrase.
The only time he ever, quote unquote, solves anything was at the boatyard when he realized that the woman was part of the gang. But, it's blind luck that it was.
Right.
Because he doesn't know that, there's no reason why he would have seen that tattoo. He's like, check under her, open her jacket, see. Like, oh, look, the same tattoo. It's like, wow, that was lucky.
That was lucky. Yeah, hell yeah, it was.
He was hoping.
They don't Mary. They don't show. They cut away before he wipes his brow. Like, oh, whew. Yeah.
God's looking out for me on that one. He points to the sky.
And that's probably not the first time that's happened to him. Sure. He just shoots a civilian. It turns out to be an actual civilian.
But he's a loose cannon, man.
Right. You do it every civilian. You're going to get lucky once in a while, I'd imagine.
I think there was a 1 in 15 chance. So for every 14 civilians you shoot one time, you're going to be right.
Right.
Oh, damn.
This was the one.
Dakota uses the computers to get him and shoots electricity into Slash and shoots him into the containment tubes and manages to get him back into containment. Then he short circuits the containment computer and blows it up, killing Slash, and Slash is dead. Yeah, it's kind of really lame ending for Slash, who was just trying to bring the LA back from authoritarianism.
So essentially, Bane from The Dark Knight Rises is Slash.
Yeah, basically they have very similar plans. They both rob a bank or
stock market.
Rob the stock market, but yeah,
similar, very similar.
Very similar. So we're saying that Christopher Nolan ripped this movie off.
Yeah, 100%.
Wouldn't be the first time.
In your face, Christopher Nolan.
Yep.
Got him.
Take that. We know you've seen Paprika based on Inception.
Man, today it's all the hot takes coming at you.
So then Jameson arrives after they've killed Slash, and Jameson says he's not lifting the martial law order. He has absolute power, and he can make Dakota a very rich man if he wants to be his right-hand man. So Dakota uses his hologram powers, to sticks his hand into the limo window and blows up the limo somehow.
Yeah. It's like the people that made rubber. This is what they were talking about.
Yeah.
Like,
just happened.
Why did this pop? No reason.
No reason. Good callback. I like that one.
Yeah. So Dakota just wantonly murders somebody in front of everybody, and Natalie walks up to Dakota and asks him the very profound question, "What are we going to do now?" And the answer is, Dakota might as well look at the camera. He just says, vote, and walks away. And that is and credits. And that is better than, I was hoping for a freeze frame, but vote was even better.
I was really hoping, when it ended, I said out loud, that's it? That's how they're going to end this? That's not how you end a movie. That's how you end a commercial.
Yeah, I think Evan Lurie was working out some hatred towards the government at that moment.
Rock the vote, guys. Let's do this.
And that's Hologram Man. It was awesome. It's great. It's so much fun.
For all of its shortcomings, it really makes up for it in just overall ridiculousness and over-the-top cheesiness. The characters are just so silly. I don't know what they're trying to be, really, in this movie, but they always come off as comical. They're you could tell they're definitely like C-list action stars. They're not they try to act tough, and they're not really that tough. they get their asses kicked constantly.
Yeah, and the whole time the movie doesn't seem to know how to make a hero and a villain, because it's like, oh, Dakota's the hero. Okay, well, he's kind of boring and is sort of a bootlicker for most of the movie. And then Slash is doing all the cool, throwing down the government stuff. But then at the end, it's like, oh, we got to show that he's the same as the chairman. So he wants to turn into the chairman and take over. That's how we'll do it.
Yeah.
Sort of thing. It's just they went into this notion, everybody's going oh, they're going to think Slash Gallagher is evil. And that's why they'll root for Dakota when it obviously, maybe it's looking through a 2019 lens, where it's Slash has the better politics, for lack of a better word.
Yeah.
In this.
No, I was totally on Slash's side throughout all of it. Yeah. No. Is there anything you guys would do to make this movie better?
Oh man, I think I would have liked to have seen a little bit more of a backstory between Slash and Dakota.
Yeah.
I think that would have played a good role in showing how their grudge has maybe been for years or even months at that. A grudge doesn't start in a day usually. That's just a squabble. I also would have liked to have had more John Amos. Not John Amos. John Amos. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah, I think John Amos would have been cool because he's like the only badass in this movie, and he's only in it for a few minutes. It would have been cool. And if you were going to kill John Amos, have it be halfway through.
Yeah.
So we get that angst for Dakota losing a real partner, not someone that we barely know later.
Yeah.
Like, it's been years at that point when he loses his next partner, and no one cares. You don't care about her. She doesn't really do anything. At least John Amos, they show the firefight there.
Yeah.
So you sense a little bit of camaraderie. To Mark's point as well, I think having a little bit more Zeus in it, being a badass, like it should have been a Die Hard situation where John McClane is fighting the one German who he killed his brother, right? You have that stairwell fight scene before he gets to Hans. So why not have Dakota lock up with 8-Ball? It'll be the sub boss before getting to Slash, right? That you could have done something. Like, you have such an intimidating person in that character 8-Ball, and you totally misuse him. And then obviously we needed to see Dakota being slathered in the goo and and like how the girlfriend just kind of really spends too much time downstairs, and like how that works. And you get that in there because that could have been where the trailer scene was. So you spend 3 minutes of just her. You don't have to show dong. You just kind of like, maybe the camera's from the back and she's down there working it, and then you could show his face and he's just really uncomfortable. Like, all right, I think we're done here. Like, by the time we're done, 15 cops have been killed. So that's kind of on your hands now.
All I needed from this movie is, outside of the two things Dan talked about, the not the stuff at the end. We need more John Amos and Tiny Lister in this movie for sure. But I would like to have taken those 3 to 5 minutes that we lost to the trailer and all at the beginning to at least give me even a montage of why the city was the way it was. Like, just a little, like, even in Demolition Man, not to keep making that comparison, but, it shows what a train wreck the city was, at the beginning of the movie, and then it gives you a little bit of an idea what the city's like when it gets unfrozen. Like, literally, the only transition here is that the overhead shot of Los Angeles changes with just a very ridiculously drawn-in dome over top of a section. Not anything like, oh, there was a thing and all these people died. It was just like, oh, nope, this dome came down and then we took over martial law, sort of thing. Like, a little bit of more world building, even if it's like a 2-minute montage. Maybe given Dakota a little more than just going from rookie cop to now all of a sudden he's like this badass cop that the chairman wants to see permanently.
Right.
Like there's no build up. Sure.
Yeah, I think there is a lack of world building, and it probably just chalk it up to the fact that this was a low budget movie. Like, there's 4 or 5 locations, and it's probably a producer's house, somebody else's house, and then warehouses. It seemed like one of Slash's hideout could have been a late night rave that Evan Lurie might bounce at during the weekends. So I think that's one of the reasons for the lack of world building. But yeah, it's like something. The Running Man is a perfect example of a movie that was able to world build and without having to do too much heavy lifting. Definitely agree with John Amos. Definitely he could have survived the gunshot in the beginning, and then he could have been the one that died at the end instead of having 2 partners. Like, you could maybe thought that he died, and then we have the flash forward, and then like, oh, he meets up with his partner. It's like, oh, look, he's still alive, but he's still dealing with like some loss of nerve, and like he has nerve damage in his arm or something like that. Definitely could have used more of that and a backstory between Dakota and Slash. But otherwise, this movie stands on its own. It was a lot of fun to watch. Had a good time with it.
For sure.
All right. I think that's gonna wrap this up. You guys want to plug your shit?
Sure. DAquino122 is my Twitter account, personal Twitter account. I also run our Real Play D&D podcast, Stranger Damies, and you can find us on Twitter and Instagram at Stranger Damies. Come hang out with us, chat. If you like the show, let us know. We do get some feedback every now and then, and we definitely appreciate it. And you like it, that's awesome. Please leave reviews on iTunes, anywhere that you get your podcast episodes, and we would greatly appreciate that.
Yeah, yes. So, and as mentioned, Stranger Damies, our D&D podcast airs every Wednesday. New episode just went up yesterday, which is the end of one of our first quarantine sessions, maybe the second one. So be sure to check that out. I will apologize way in advance that I think I may have misnumbered the episodes in my opening. I'm not sure. But I will put a warning before the episodes that I do that in. But yeah, so check that out. There's, like I said, every Wednesday. And then we also have our video game podcast, Game Vault Podcast, that airs every other Monday. I believe we'll be recording a show this Friday. Yes. So it'll be a new show next week. So be sure to check that out. And then we stream. We definitely go at least once a week. I'm going to be doing Thursdays. So when this episode drops, you'll be able to go to the Game Vault Podcast on Twitch. And just watch that there. But we're going to be trying to stream multiple days in a week. It just comes down to equipment and all that. We kind of just jumped into this, with quarantine stuff happening, and are sort of trying to pick up the pieces to sort of get this on a more steady pace. But if you'd like to hear, our opinions in the podcast, we spout more on the streams there. And obviously, the Twitters, Stranger Damies and Game Vault Pod. You can send your same criticisms there. Mine is at Off the Mark Tweet, but very little do I mention any of the stuff that would be in the podcast and all that outside of retweets and stuff, just because if you do need to ask any questions or do anything, it would probably be a lot easier to focus it in on the podcast's Twitter accounts. But if you like to follow dumb shit from somebody you hear on a podcast, feel free to follow me. I don't know if you'll get a lot of the reference.
Okay. Yeah, and this is They Called This a Movie. You can find us at theycalledthisamovie.podbean.com. We're on all podcast streaming apps at They Call This a Movie. Just search for They Call This a Movie. It will pop right up. Also, we are themaindamie.com. That's our main website. You can find us on all social media, just at The Main Damie. So that's Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Just look for The Main Damie. We should be there. We're also a proud member of Geek Vibes Nation. They're gvnation.com. They got a great bunch of shows. Besides us, there's Scene and Nerd, Tia's, as Dan already mentioned, a bunch of other great shows. They're posting new podcasts just about every day. So any podcast streaming app, just look for Geek Vibes Nation. You'll find us there as well as all the other ones. GVNation.com is the main website there, but they're on all social media at Geek Vibes Nation. And a bunch of great people with a whole bunch of stuff for whatever your interests are. I think that's going to wrap us up. I am at AntDelVec on Twitter. You can find me there. The best way to get us a hold of us is at The Main Damie on Twitter. You can also hit us up at themaindamie@gmail.com if you have questions, comments, want to throw a movie our way to tell us to watch it. A great place to do it. If you can, please subscribe, rate us, give us 5 stars on iTunes, give us a review if you have that time. You know you've got the time, so please help us out. It really does. It helps us out a great deal. Even for a podcast this small, it really does help us out tremendously. And that's going to wrap it up this week. The movie has been Hologram Man from 1995, directed by Richard Pepin. So for Dan Aquino and Mark Myers, this is Anthony Delvecchio telling Richard Pepin to go fuck himself.